Hi, I'm Inez Simpson, and I'm the creator of the Simpson Protocol. And I presume if you're watching this, that you came to the website to learn about what the Simpson Protocol is about and what the class is about. Unless, like Martin says, you are on the wrong URL and you're looking for cats. He always makes me laugh. Anyway, but we'll talk to you about what SP is all about, and that's the short for Simpson Protocol. I guess we've gotten kind of lax about that. We just sort of, we have to shorten everything up and make it easy. So even though, and that's part of the philosophy of SP, is to make things simpler. Now, it is a very holistic sort of system. So that means that there's many systems that work on phobias, they work on all kinds of stuff, pain control, etc. But what happens is many times the underlying issues, there's some adjacent issues that could be cleaned up. So what I created was a very holistic program that started very much from your whole foundation all the way to shifting that part of you. So even if that you only come in to work on one thing with me, let's say, that you have that foundation built, and it will stand you instead for everything in your life, not just that issue you came in for. So that's sort of the philosophy of SP, is that we do very holistic work from the very beginning to the end, and actually we make it much easier and faster because we are working with what we call the superconscious mind. And everyone wants to know what that is. And I'll say, gee, I don't really know. But I'll tell you what it does. The superconscious mind is just a code word for whatever that means in the mind, that for the part of you that knows everything or can find out anything. So everything that's needed comes from your client. You don't have to know a thing. Isn't that kind of nice? I mean, when we were first starting hypnosis, you're all, oh, gee, what should I do? And what's going on? What should I use this script? What should I do with this? And, can I add this in? And how do I do that? And so we're always figuring out what techniques to put together, what scripts to use, all that stuff. With Simpson, wow, listen, can you hear the rain? It's just coming down like crazy right now. Anyway, but if you can imagine doing something that could work for anything, because it's a system, it's a process. And will it all be done in one session? Not necessarily. It all depends on the client and what they have wrong with them. But you can get a lot done in the first session. In the first session, we set them up to know how to do it. By the time of that end of that session, the benefit is they already can do self-hypnosis to all those levels of deep hypnosis for themselves. Now, are you in control of that? I know we all think, many people say, gee, I don't want to let go of control of my mind. And we tell them that they're always in control. Well, I think hypnotists also have a little bit of that they want to stay in control of a session and are slightly afraid to give it over to the client's mind. And I'll tell you that if you do that, you allow superconscious mind to lead you through a session, there's no mistakes made and the client gets the best benefit ever. So that's sort of a little bit of what it is in a nutshell. We'll go into it a little deeper on each subject. But first of all, if you're here watching this, you're interested in going to a class. What do we do in a class? Well, first of all, I teach you all the steps to get them into deep hypnosis. And a lot of focus is put on the Esdale state and has been, and I think that was something to do with me when I first started, because a lot of this was started because I wanted to bypass my own critical factor, and I was considered quite analytical. So we can get into what I think that is too one time, but it's not for here at the moment. But what happened was that I created that, and then everybody was so excited about going to Esdale that the focus got put on that instead of working with the superconscious. Now, working with the superconscious is more important. You don't need the depth of Esdale. It's a bonus if you get it, and the client will love it. But deep somnambulism is really an adequate place to start. And it gets all the work done. I just did a session yesterday with a lady. She didn't go all the way to Esdale. She just stayed totally in a nice deep state of somnambulism. And we got the work done easily and effectively. and she went home happy. Well, and you know, your clients go home happy with just about any kind of system we use because we continue to work on it. But the difference with this is it's holistic, it is content free, as they say. We call that content free. It's really not content free. It's not content free for the client. The client gets all the understanding and knowledge that they need. But the person running the show, like is supposedly running the show, because I'm not, is I lead them into it, I guide them into that, and I'm empowering them to do their own work. And I lead them through the work, but I don't know what's going on. And they don't, unless they tell me. And that's their choice. They can choose to tell me or not. It still happens all very easily. So that takes a bit of pressure off. And if you've been in the business for a long time, you know how much stuff that you hear about. You know, you have to, and how many times do you want to know those dark stories? We've all had them. We've all had those instances in life that have been that way. And many of us do not like to share them. So those people who don't like to share them are totally comfortable in this situation because they don't have to tell you a thing. If I'm in class, this is what I told you I was talking about what's in class. I'll take you through and how you get them to adapt those deep levels, including Esdale, and including going to a higher level where superconscious, and we work with superconscious and a higher mind or a guidance factor. So we do that. I teach you all the way through there. We then start to practice, and you start to make it your own because, I mean, to learn something, it has to be written in a book, and you have to read it and you have to know it. But eventually, you have to start being the process. The only thing that I always say is, please, there's no leading. You can't lead in this system, otherwise you will lose the rapport with that superconscious part of the client. No leading is done, and you are very careful in how you word things. So we use clean language, as I call it. And we get into that. We get into all those things, and the first day you do a practice. On the first session, because that one's usually a little longer because you're giving them the skills to do self-hypnosis and a few other things. Now the next session, they never have to have another induction done. So when they come in the second session, you just give them their triggers, they go into trance. So you start work right away. So the first session is always a little longer, and the second session, they get shorter and easier all the time. Or else you can just do more work. Because I'll tell you, superconscious mind will let you know when it's time to stop. It tells you how many issues need to be addressed to get the outcome. Now, lots of times you want an outcome. Let's say you say, I no longer want to have that phobia. Well, that's that outcome. But sometimes to get that outcome completely, forever, everything cleaned up, there might be more than one issue. And it's unlikely with a phobia because that's sort of a thing that gets created a little bit at a time. But many issues will have many issues within them. So you are led through till it's totally cleared up and finished. So that's what I'm talking about. It's totally holistic. It's not just at the symptom. And then we always say, well, we go to the cause, regression to cause, and then we clear it up. But even when I was doing, and that's my background, I was trained by Jerry Kine, and I'm a regression to cause at that time, very keen on that. But from there, I went for the people who didn't want to talk about it, the people who didn't want to do anything, and I started to flow that on. And that's where the background comes to get to the cause. But then when we rebuild people, I call it rebuilding them, that you are changing their perceptions, doing all the other stuff, the inner child work, anything that you want to talk about. But those things are all done in a much different way in Simpson protocol. Much simpler, much easier, much faster. We do anything from Gestalt to parts therapy, from everything, all done through the superconscious mind. And the benefit of that is you can make no mistakes. Not that we make mistakes in our day, but there's sometimes we'll say, gee, I wish I'd done this, or I wish I'd done that. Well, with Simpson protocol, there's none of that because you are not having to think of what you need to get done. Okay, I'm getting a little wordy. My director's going, Okay, so let's sum it up. In the class, you learn how to get it done, and you also, it's not a lecture type of class. There's lots of practice. So by the time that you leave the class, you feel relatively proficient. Not that you're totally secure because, it's something brand new, but I have people that go out and the next morning their new client they do it with. So that is the capability of the class. That is what everyone could do if they feel so inclined. So once you have done this, and there is an advanced portion later, but we won't get into that today because I don't want to. I'm so passionate about this that sometimes you can't shut me up. So getting the right material on this short video is more difficult. So the benefit for the client, again, I say, they didn't have to tell you anything. They learn how to do self-hypnosis to an extremely higher level. They learn if they choose to use it. They're empowered through this because anything in SP was created to empower the client. Always throw that power to them instead of to us so that they feel totally comfortable. Because what are most people afraid of? Losing control, all that stuff. So this is why we gear this to their empowerment, and it's very important. So that's what they get out of it, and obviously change when they want it. So also what it does for you is take all the guesswork out of it. And I won't say that totally. It takes the guesswork out of it for what you need to do because you follow a certain structure, but you also have anything open to you, what you want to add in, your intuition, all kinds of stuff. So you are going to make this your own. The process has a way of getting to a certain point where you do not have to know anything about the client. So that works for both people. What else can you get out of a class is becoming very proficient and doing deep, deep work with people and deep change. So below you'll find way more information on what's included in the class. But you know how passionate I am with this. It's very exciting and I love to teach it. And every time I teach it, it actually evolves. And what I've noticed over the evolution of Simpson protocol is that it actually has become simpler. It continues to simplify. It's not growing into be an albatross. It's growing to be something. What's very a good bird that would be for that? Anyway, very slim, very movement. It's got great movement. So that's where Simpson protocol continues to evolve. And in each class, something exciting happens, and you'll be astounded to know that if you come into it, this is what I ask my clients too, to come in open to possibility. You don't have to believe every metaphysical thing. You don't have to have all this. You just have to be open to possibility because each person will be different and it'll actually blow your mind the things that can happen. So there's also a book down here somewhere that you can just get for free. It's a download and it gives you it isn't a manual on how to do SP, but it gives you maybe better, more succinct information that I just sort of spill out here. So just sign up for it and you have it, and it's great. So really looking forward to seeing you in the class.